Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the second part of the Lights Camera Discussion Paul Verhoeven episode. Again, I'm here with the boys, Collie and Todd, and I'm really excited to get into this one for some reason. Collie, what's the first film we're going to be talking about today?
We're going to be talking about 1995's Showgirls. Nomi arrives in Las Vegas with only a suitcase and a dream of becoming a top showgirl. She quickly befriends Molly, who works at the high-profile Stardust Hotel, and lands a job at a seedy strip club. A chance meeting with Crystal, the Stardust's marquee dancer, and her powerful boyfriend Zach brings Nomi one step closer to realizing her dream. But as she ascends to the top, Nomi begins to wonder if it's all worth it.
And maybe it is. Collie, thoughts on this film?
So this film kind of, when it came out, it was obviously highly controversial, was lambasted. We'll get to it. Won loads of Razzies, etc., and then has subsequently been more regarded as like a cult film. I'll quickly skip ahead to one of the trivia bits. Despite being a high-profile theatrical bomb, the film went on to be a hugely profitable in the home video market in the US, generating more than $100 million in video rentals and becoming one of MGM's top 20 all-time best sellers. So I don't know when that was cut off, obviously, but that's just at a certain point it was a very, very high-profile home video rental film. So I watched this, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago or something like that. Just started getting into like watching more films, etc. Knew there was a lot of nudity, knew that Jessie from Saved by the Bell was in it, knew that Kyle MacLachlan was in it, who I really knew at the time from Desperate Housewives, because more so than Twin Peaks and all that kind of stuff. This is one of those films you can kind of take out of it what you put into it. If you just want to go and watch it because it's silly, you'll have a laugh and it'll be a bit of fun. If you want to look at it in a bit more depth in terms of, what's it showing? Is it showing the seediness of Vegas in particular? Is it showing the kind of seediness and underhandedness of America and commercialism and stuff like that? There's a lot of layers, as there is in a lot of Verhoeven stuff. I unironically quite enjoy this film. I think some of the performances are funny in a not meant to be funny way. Some of them are actually really good. But yeah, I absolutely, put my hands up and say that I enjoy this film for some of its messages, some of its silliness, and all that kind of stuff. Just have a bit of fun with it.
I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you. I like, okay, there's the whole joke about me like, oh, boobs and blah blah blah.
It's not a joke, but yeah, sure.
I almost became desensitized to them at a point in this film because it's obviously so often. But there's actually like a really good story there, and I really enjoyed it. Like as you say, the kind of like the almost the nature of Vegas and what it does to people. And as you can say, you can take it as a kind of more worldwide or America kind of thing. But I really enjoyed, like, for what it was. As you say, I think if you can't like get with the campiness and silliness of it, then you're probably not going to have a good time. But if you allow yourself just to get dragged into it, then it's a bit of a blast. It's good fun. As I say, there is a load of nudity to it. Paul Verhoeven, it's almost one of the things that he has as like a director's trademark. Quentin Tarantino has his feet. Paul Verhoeven has his full frontal nudity. But past that, it's actually a genuinely not incredible film. It's a genuinely interesting film. Like, it felt to me almost like the precursor to Black Swan, with the way that it's got the kind of like the Asian lady, like superstar kind of thing for this Vegas thing, and the young upstart who is coming for her place and ends up doing it by any means necessary. I genuinely enjoyed this film, and after reading about the fact that it was like absolutely like lambasted, it was Razzies everywhere. I think he even turned up to accept his Razzie as well.
He was the first director to ever turn up.
Yeah, like I was like, oh, it's gonna be dog shit, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I really did. Todd?
Yeah, I went in with relatively low expectations after everything that I'd heard about it. I was just bored more than anything. I didn't buy the camp side of it, but I also didn't enjoy like I get what you're saying about the Black Swan thing. I think that's a really good way of looking at it, especially some of like the more hazy moments in it where she kind of battling with those decisions. But it's not for me at all. And there's a couple of reasons why, but
I'm
it's
sure
not
there
one
is.
I'll ever watch again.
Fair enough.
Well, tell us the reasons why. Divulge. Tell us.
No, I thought the story was boring. The thing is, what was this 95? Like, I feel like we've seen it done better as well, performed better, written better. The script is hanging on by a thread. That is fucking awful. And yes, I think I couldn't see it as like a campy bit of fun at all. Like I couldn't get behind that in any way, shape, or form. And that's felt dull. And for so many big moments in it, like the big, I know we'll talk about them, but the big dance numbers and all that kind of stuff, it still felt a bit like drab. Oh.
Fair enough. um, yeah, sounds like it. Well, I mean, we kind of touched on obviously in the previous episode about nudity and being a gamble for like an actress and things. Obviously in this one it's Elizabeth Berkley as opposed to Sharon Stone that kind of takes that mantle up, and Collie, you touched on what that meant for her. So do you want to just kind of give us an idea about her performance and what that meant for her going forward and stuff?
Well, I think her performance at the time and subsequently has been, laughed at, and rightfully so, because it is so over the top and silly. The delivery of lines, the physicality of even at the start when she's like battering Molly's car when she's lost her suitcase and stuff. But Verhoeven is in the last 25 years, 30 years of it, has came out and kind of put his hands up to say that he feels bad a little bit because it was his direction that made her do that. That wasn't her choice. If he didn't want her to be that over the top, he would have told her not to be. So I kind of put a lot of the blame in a way on Verhoeven, and I think he puts his hands up and accepts that. So it is a real shame that it kind of did end her career, or not end her career, but minimize it. Like, I think whether she dropped her agent or her agent dropped her, like right after this, didn't really do too much afterwards. But I think like it's come full circle in that. I think, what did I read? There was a special DVD released on the 10th anniversary or something like that, and she was asked to be interviewed for it, like the special features. She asked to be paid she only got paid $100,000, by the way, for this film to lead in it. She only got paid $100,000, and she asked to be paid something like $2.5 grand as a fee to appear on this DVD, and they said no, just for that. So it was just a bit of a messy situation. I think there was a screening in 2015, I think it was, for the 20th anniversary, where she appeared and has subsequently, said that its acceptance in the LGBTQ community and stuff like that has meant a lot to her. The whole pursuing your dreams aspect, she's like, obviously fans have spoke to her throughout the years being like, Nomi actually inspired me to, go down the route of show dancing, or not even show dancing, but like be driven in a certain like career choice or a hobby or anything like that. So I think she takes pride in retrospect towards it. But if you look at it purely just on the film, you can understand why it got lambasted. And I would agree it's not a great performance, but I think she was only doing what she was given, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just Verhoeven was after a certain vision of it, and that's where it ended up, unfortunately for her. I guess if we're just talking about Nomi, I can just run through some quick casting what ifs if you'd like. Pamela Anderson, Angelina Jolie, Denise Richards, and Charlize Theron all auditioned for the role, but ended up going to Berkeley. Charlize Theron, there's been conflicting stories about did she turn it down because of the ask for the nudity, etc., but she's came out and actually stated she just wasn't a big enough name at the time. She was only an up and coming actress or model from South Africa. Berkeley had the kind of more star power, the more draw than her. So obviously, in retrospect, she's glad because of what happened to Berkeley's career. But I think she said at one point she didn't meet Berkeley at one point, or she met her at something. and Berkeley and her had a chat and stuff like that, and she was like, she's just the nicest woman going. So I guess she took a bullet for Throne in a wee bit, and she's obviously grateful for that because she's won an actress and stuff. But sorry, she's won an Oscar. for that, so she's obviously thankful for that. But yeah, I kind of feel bad looking out with the film for Berkeley, but in performance, I can understand why like people are like, well, what the fuck is that kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. You hit the nail on the head there. I also think though it's really brave for her to take on this kind of role. It's a big gamble. It obviously didn't quite pay off. But in the same way with Sharon Stone, you know, it could have easily went one way, which was almost projected her up into like an A-list sort of thing. But unfortunately, it kind of didn't. I agree. I don't think it's a great performance. And you know, you could point that at Paul Verhoeven and stuff, but I totally commend her for, you know, doing it, giving it a go, like throwing herself fully into it as well. She's and again, coming from Saved by the Bell and stuff as well. Maybe would have hoped that she had a bit more of a career ahead of her, but unfortunately with this, it's not the case. But yeah, I mean, kudos to her for throwing herself fully into it. Todd, what were your thoughts on Elizabeth Berkley? You're on mute, by the way. You're on mute, by the way.
Sorry, Nips.
I thought you just ignored you and just carried on talking.
I know, that's fine. I'm used to it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's a weird one because, like you say, she's got nothing to do like work with the script and stuff. It wasn't a great performance. I didn't believe her at any point, and I thought, like you say, it was very over the top. And if that's what Verhoeven's asked for, that's what he's asked for. But it was the wrong way, because there was just moments where her conversations with Gina Gershon's character Crystal, like the way that them two interacted with each other, made me want to crawl into a hole. It wasn't great. It was not great.
Well, I mean, do you want to touch on Gina Gershon as well?
I just, you know, when we talked about like the over the top villainy aspect of like Ironside and people like that, where they kind of walk that line, I felt like Gershon just danced right over that line and didn't understand quite where she needed to be. It was all very the private dance scene. And like the sort of interaction between Naomi and Crystal was atrocious. Like I get it made me very uncomfortable. And it was just the performances just suggested that they didn't have a clue what they were doing and thought, fuck it, let's just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Wasn't a fan either. Sorry.
For me, obviously, like again, kind of being bought into the campiness of it, I quite enjoyed the sort of over the top villainy from her. It was like a nice kind of sort of not mirror of Nomi, but kind of what she would become and stuff. Like I it was definitely over the top. Like there's no thinking about that, but there were some bits as well where it was like a bit of sexual tension as well, which I feel added to that relationship, and some genuine like animosity. I enjoy, again, from the campy kind of silly standpoint, I enjoyed it, and I totally agree. I think if you haven't bought into that, you're not going to buy into a lot of stuff. But I had a lot of fun with her performance, to be honest. Collie?
Yeah, I thought she was really good, to be honest. And that whole bio when she bought the lap dance for Zach and stuff like that, I think that was a power play by her because she obviously was attracted to Nomi and stuff, and there's obviously that dynamic that they share a kiss at the end and stuff. So I think there was an underlying like sexual attraction between the two of them, and I think like it was. I thought it was played really well. I thought she was really good, to be honest.
We're just
didn't get it, Todd.
Yeah,
maybe you just didn't get it.
You're just not smart enough, mate.
Don't have that. That's it. I don't have that IQ to understand it.
I was just going to sit down after listening to this podcast and just be like your man in Lady Bird. They didn't understand it, you know. But by they mean Todd.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair.
There's obviously a massive cast, and again, we're not going to necessarily go through everyone, but was there anyone that stood out for yourself, Collie?
I like Kyle MacLachlan as like as the kind of is he the entertainment director? I think is
Yes, yeah.
or something like that. I think he's good. I think he's silly. I think he is very silly, but I think Kyle MacLachlan's just a silly guy. I think like there's a lot of his performances. I mean, I've never watched Twin Peaks for my sins. I do need to watch it at some point soon. But which is I know terrible as a massive David Lynch fan. But yeah, I think he's really good. I think he just hams it up. I think for me, as much as I enjoy performance, I would say his is of the kind of the main three is the one that I would say is quote unquote the worst. If we're caveating Berkeley's as hers is like it is because of Verhoeven. Whereas I think if MacLachlan made his own choices, then I think he's just the whole fringe, the flicking of the fringe and stuff like that was very funny and very David Dasmalchian, if you ask me.
Well, actually, I wrote down on my notes, Kyle MacLachlan looking like an emo Spidey. Like,
yeah, good shout, yeah. But I thought he was good. I think he's a really he's a really good actor, but he knows his wheelhouse. I think he's one of the people in like when he's seen the premiere of it and stuff like that. He was just like, "What the fuck have I signed up for?" But it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just it's resulted in an iconic film that he's really well known for at the end of the day. So yeah,
absolutely. A massive shout out to the the guy Patrick Bristow. He always like around that time. I'm sure he was in Friends as well. He like plays that kind of gay like choreographer kind of guy. And he always just pops up as like the guy with the clipboard and the headphone, like directing folk where to go and stuff. Like when I saw him, I was like, yeah, okay, like I know what his role is immediately. He's almost typecast himself as that. Todd, was there anyone that else? Well, I know you hated him. Anyone else that stood out to yourself or anything that
I'd like to point out. Speaking of Showgirls, I rated this higher than the last Showgirl. Let's just get
terrible film.
Awful. Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan for me felt like really miscast in this. Like he's trying to be suave, and he's just this weird little bloke. And he what he does normally he does really well. I like Kyle MacLachlan, but he just felt out of place here. I like Glenn Plummer as well. I thought he of the sort of he's a nice guy. Oh, actually no, he's not. He's a piece of shit. And like that sort of when he has Penny in the house and he's like, "Oh, it's nobody, don't worry about it," type thing. I thought he was decent enough. But yeah, there wasn't really many that stood out.
No, it's a shame. Collie, anything else you want to chat about, or?
Before the categories.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you just do me one favor? Can you repeat what the intro was to the first episode, please? Just for people who have not listened to the first episode.
Straight from their stint at the Cheetah Club, Collie and Todd.
Yeah, so Cheetahs is an actual strip club with multiple locations and is notorious for being frequented by the 9/11 hijackers. So, yeah, there you go.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd talk about 9/11 on this podcast. Yeah. Wow. Gosh.
So see, as soon as you said that intro, I was just like, "Oh, I've got a great bit of trivia just for you."
Wow, gosh. I mean, to be fair, you guys were actually doing the dancing. You weren't frequenting it, so you're not implicit. Anyway, moving on. Categories?
Yeah.
Favorite quote, Collie?
Crystal's bit of cynical wisdom. There's always someone younger and hungrier coming down the stairs after you. I thought that was quite a deep and meaningful line in a movie that maybe doesn't have that many.
Well, I'm going to go the complete opposite, and it's the big lady at the Cheetah Club. You'd never find this thing. I'd have to piss on you to give you a clue. Yep. Todd?
I went with the same character, but it was for when he says, and we've got the Virgin Mary over here, and she says, "I've got bigger tits than the fucking Virgin Mary, and I've got a bigger mouth too." And the reason I chose that is because that normally films get banned in places because of like the film itself. That one line got this film banned in Ireland, And I just thought that was amazing that one line in a film got the whole thing banned in a country. So yeah, that was me. That
I
was
thought
me
her
cool.
dress was really good. It's not going to be my MVP, but I thought her dress was funny.
We need to like get that for Todd for next time.
Oh jeez.
Favorite scene, Collie?
I thought the conversation between Nomi and Crystal at the end in the hospital, I thought that was really good and quite reflective. And that's kind of what I was talking about previously with the whole, like, you know, the final third of some Verhoeven films maybe don't land. This one lands, but it's just because it's so, not out of the blue either, but it's so different, I think, to the first first 2/3 of the film. I think it just lands completely differently to where you were expecting. So yeah, the conversation between them two at the hospital for me.
And again, I've gone completely different. the pool sex scene, which it basically starts waterboarding herself. It's just brilliant.
What is that?
Oh, Todd.
It's I couldn't the big dance numbers with a thing for me where it gives such an impression of what Vegas is, and that like that when she first walks in, that would be that first big dance number she watches.
Sorry to kind of go back just a little bit. The way that Elizabeth Berkley grunts like the whole time while she's dancing, like that just got me every single time. Love it.
Can you remind me what it sounded like? I can't remember.
She's like, like it's brilliant. It's so good.
So good.
That was really good. That was spot on.
Thank you. Thanks. And then MVP, Collie.
I'm gonna go with Berkeley. I think like she just, even if it was like Verhoeven's direction and stuff like that, and even if you could argue that it's not that great a performance, I think she gave it 110%. It was a big gamble. Obviously didn't pay off for her, but I think like gotta respect it.
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same for the same reasons. I said Berkeley, and I said fair fucks for taking it on. It was a gamble. It's a really ballsy move to take on a role like this. So yeah, I say her as well. And Todd.
The choreographers, I think the dancing, not just the big set pieces, but the dances in particular were really well put together. I didn't enjoy the performances. I didn't enjoy the film. So I struggled to like really pick an MVP. But I think when you look at how the big dance numbers are put together, but even like the auditions and stuff, were really intense and really well put together.
Good stuff. All right. Ratings then, Collie.
3.5 for me.
It's 4 for me. And Todd?
And it's 2.5 from me.
Shocking. Right, let's move on to the next one, the penultimate one in our Verhoeven episodes. Collie, what are we talking about?
Talking about 1997's Starship Troopers, set in the 23rd century. The story follows teenager Johnny Rico and his comrades as they serve in the military of the United Citizen Federation, an Earth-based world government engaged in an interstellar war against an alien species known as the Arachnids.
The Arachnids, the bugs. First thoughts, Collie, go on.
I love this film. I've always loved it. It's kind of similar to when we were talking earlier about, you know, like Total Recall and having these different messages, and RoboCop when you read it differently as you're an adult and stuff. I think this is one of those ones that I watched when I was younger because I was like, oh, it's quite a laddish film. It's just, you know, going and blowing up space bugs. But I think the satire, it really shines through, and the fact that this was misinterpreted by some people as being a pro right wing film when it's completely the opposite and stuff like that is an interesting dynamic. And again, we might not really discuss it because that's not the kind of podcast that we try and put out, but it's just interesting watching it with an adult brain compared to like a young adult brain, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Agree. And not just it being misinterpreted, but even at this sort of time in history as well, like it's not just being misinterpreted when it was released. It's even up until like now. There was like still that whole discourse about it on Twitter just within the last year or two, where as you say, the satire is almost like front and center. It's very heavy handed in what it does. Yeah, this is actually third watch for me. So I never watched it as a kid. It always just looked like a shitty kind of like B movie action kind of thing. I didn't see any trailers. Just looking at the plot or like the sort of the posters of it or whatever, I was always like, I can't bother with that sort of stuff.
Maybe the cast. You could argue the cast as well.
Yeah,
like, it's all young people that were cast and relative unknowns. So no, I get what you mean by that.
Yeah, exactly. And but then I watched it a couple of years ago. I think it was actually the first I watched it. I put it on Letterboxd. I can't remember what date it was, but uh, I really really enjoyed it, and I could see what it was trying to do. On a second watch, I properly bought in like fully to it and understood exactly what it was going for, and realized how much a masterpiece this film is. This is my third watch, and it just cemented it for me. Like this film for me is as close to like a top four letterbox film as it can get for me. Like I absolutely adore this film. I think it's phenomenal with what it says, how it portrays it, some of the stuff that like the plot, everything that happens is it's just fantastic. It feels like smart but also dumb. And I think that's what I would portray myself as, smart but also dumb. But yeah, it's a
Is it
great film.
closer
Love
to
it.
your top four than 2001 Space Odyssey?
Yes, I would say so in terms of recency. Yeah, 100%.
Considering you've seen this and you've never seen 2001.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Todd?
Yeah, so I was relatively late to it, in terms of like you, I just never got round to it, never bought into it because it did look like that sort of just yeah, shooting bugs, great, fine. I think we didn't really touch on it, well, a little bit with RoboCop in terms of how relevant it feels, despite being made, obviously RoboCop, 30 odd years ago, and then and Starship Troopers 20. Like it feels relevant, and it works really well. They play into this, we've talked about him avoiding stereotypes. I think he plays into the stereotypes really well here, just to get that satire across. And I think that works so well for him. Cast are brilliant. Again, that blend. There's a couple of moments of the CGI that are a bit like that stand out, but largely, the effects work really well as well. And love that side of things, which I'm sure we'll get onto.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, kind of touched on a bit about the cast. Now it's a bit more of a sort of B movie sort of cast, and we spoke about how I've spoke about how they're coming to Aberdeen. So I'll really tempted to go to them and see them all. But Collie, do you want to take us through like sort of again quite a big cast with some bigger performances within it, but I think everyone kind of did a job. What about yourself? Was there anyone that stood out? Obviously, the main ones that are there. Anything that surprised you?
I thought Casper Van Dien and Dina Meyer as Johnny and Dizzy were standouts. It's funny seeing Jake Busey returning to the podcast after his stint in probably one of the worst films that we've ever reviewed, being The Predator. But yeah, I thought he was really good. I thought they kind of, especially at the start, had the kind of, how to say, like the excited, like the enthusiasm and stuff like that for like going to war. You're like, yay, like, and then when Buenos Aires gets decimated, it kind of flicks a switch, and then Johnny Rico's like, I'm from there, I want to kill them all and stuff. It becomes a lot, I was going to say darker. The film's always relatively light toned with just a sprinkling of excessive violence in it and stuff, but I thought they all did really, really well. Ironside coming back was really good. Clancy Brown was really, really good. Enjoyed Neil Patrick Harris. I think even watching Neil Patrick Harris in this, you could tell that he was maybe a grade above the other people of that generation within the film. And obviously he went on to a lot of success with How I Met Your Mother and Gone Girl and stuff anyway. But I think you could kind of see the inklings, or the kind of like, he was going to go places. But yeah, top to bottom, kind of what we said about a lot of Verhoeven's films, he's really good at picking an ensemble cast. I don't think anyone stands out as being bad. I think everyone just complements each other. Within it, Hank as well. What's his name again? Dean Norris.
Yeah, Dean Norris. Yeah,
Good to see Dean Norris in it as well. But yeah, no complaints. But just everyone held their own. I think like so originally he wanted to cast like 15, 16, 17-year-olds in the lead roles, but the studios were like, nah, we can't do that. We don't want that. Blah blah blah. So that's why everyone's playing like high school graduates, but they're in their late 20s or whatever. And I don't think you can really tell. I think it's convincing enough. But it just would have been interesting if he'd have played people that were the actual age, or chosen people that were the actual age of the characters.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. Like, see, when you said about the being excited to go off to war, and then all of a sudden the switch kind of flicks. Like, it really reminded me. Most recently, I watched All Quiet on the Western Front, and it's kind of the same, where it's like the propaganda machine has pulled them in to be like, yeah, we're going to fight for our country and blah, blah, blah. And then when they realize the sort of like the actual stakes that are there, it kind of goes a bit tits up, and they almost kind of realize how they're used as almost fodder for others. But yeah, I totally agree. I think there's no one that really stands out apart from Michael Ironside, of course, because he is the GOAT. There's no one else that really stands out as like a massive performance. I do agree with Neil Patrick Harris. I think his progression, when he comes back for Diz's funeral, isn't it? When she passed away, and his eyes are kind of like darker. He's got like bags under his eyes. He's a bit more authoritative. You can tell that he's kind of almost. It's almost like he's been working like night and day to try and find out how to defeat these bugs, without saying it. It's the whole Todd thing. It's the show don't tell, and I thought little things like that were brilliant. The way that it was done, specifically with obviously Neil Patrick Harris, and kind of touching on again like supporting cast and stuff as well, or like sort of bits and pieces for other actors, not necessarily named, but things like the world building where it's the guy that they check in with, and he says that, oh, your infantry like made me the man I am today, and he's got like no legs and a busted arm and stuff. It's just world building like that like I think is so incredibly well done. And yeah, as you say, Clancy Brown getting his flowers at the end with the bug brain, I really enjoyed. Todd, was there anyone that stood out for you?
I think just going to Clancy Brown, I think he's a brilliant drill sergeant. Like, I think he has that. After Full Metal Jacket, it's really hard when they employ a literal drill sergeant to act as one.
Yeah.
How you differ that role, but he has a bit of like human to him, and I love that from Clancy Brown. I thought that was excellent. In terms of like the media literacy side of things, how do people watch this and not know that like it's not a right-wing thing when Neil Patrick Harris, when he comes back to that funeral, he's literally dressed as a fucking Nazi. Like, he's got the full like hat, leather coat. Like, it baffles me. I agree.
The eagle on the flags as well, and like,
yeah, like all this symbolism is there.
Yeah.
Anyway, people are gonna. But and again, you can watch this film and you can interpret it a whole heap of ways, including just blasting bugs type thing. I like Dina Meyer just because I didn't really clock when I first watched this that it's her in Saw. Like, she's in, I think, like Saw 2 through 4. She's the one who gets her ribs ripped open. I know them by death rather than by character. I know. We don't discuss shit like that on here. I apologise. We're much more highbrow, or you two are at least. But yeah, I like Dina Meyer, and I like that sort of will they, won't they at the beginning, and then obviously they will and they do. Yeah, I like you say again, just a really good ensemble cast that kind of work well together.
Good stuff. Yeah, I mean, Colin, is there anything else you want to like talk about with this film, or we've kind of touched on the sort of satire side of things? But do you want to go deeper into that, or anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, not particularly. I'm just not that well versed in saying what we're wanting to say, but it's definitely one of those ones that, like you say, has been analysed throughout the years, and it, like in the last year or so on Twitter, because of what's happening in the real world and stuff, that it's been brought more to the forefront. Just on a bit of a lighter note with the trivia, Mark Wahlberg actually turned down the role of Johnny Rico. He was asked to be in Johnny Rico. He was asked to be Johnny Rico, and this is around the times that he's going for Boogie Nights and that. So it would have been a completely different career path if he'd chosen this over it.
I would say I think it's quite good that it's like a relatively unknown cast. I think maybe having Mark Wahlberg might take away from that sort of
I mean, he
side
wasn't
of things.
Mark Wahlberg at the time. He was Marky Mark at the time, so I don't think it would have been that distracting.
Oh, so sorry, was this pre-Boogie Nights then?
Well, Boogie Nights was 97, was it?
Oh, so it'd been around the same time then. Okay, so yeah, fair. He would have been more unknown. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Well, shall we go into categories then?
Yeah.
Okay, call a favourite quote.
So it's the back and forth between Ace and Zim. and it said enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand medic when he throws the knife through his hand.
Brilliant. For me, again, talk about world building. It was in the shower scene. One of the girls, when they're talking about like what they want to do and things like that. Hey, don't, no. It's a bit more deep than that. But one of the girls, like when they're saying about what they're doing, what they want to do, she says, "I want to have babies, and you know it's easier to get a license if you served." So it like kind of adds on like sort of like the world building, the authoritarianism of it. Yeah, I really like that. See, I'm not just I do think with my brain as well.
No, you don't.
Todd, favorite quote?
I initially just wrote down the word medic because it was said like 8 or 9 times. I thought it was wonderful. But I also loved I need a corporal. You're it until you're dead, or I'll find someone better. I thought like that was really cool as well.
Mr. Ironside. Collie, favorite scene?
It was either going to be the football scene near the beginning or the first big battle with the bugs on Clondathu. Is it Clondathu?
Clondathu, yeah. For me, I kind of touched on it, but it was the shaking the guy's hand at the check-in thing with the infantry who I am. Like again, the world building all just in one little scene is brilliant and kind of shows the fate of the characters. Todd?
Yeah, it was the first sort of the big battle where Rico went back. You know, where they're retreating and he goes back to try and save like the rest of them. I thought it was just really well done. And so I know we haven't really touched on the effects as much, but like that the sort of the movements of the big bugs where it comes down, like it grabs hold of somebody, and that's obviously CGI, and then as it gets hold of them, then it goes into practical. And I thought the melding of the two worked really well. And the sort of the bigger, rounder, beetle looking bugs that come over the top, like they were a bit ropey. But again, we're talking like 97. This is early CGI, but the practical stuff worked really well. Even like not necessarily blood, was it? But like, do you know what I mean? Like the bits of the bugs, and like in the biology class where they taken the bug apart, and Denise Richards is just getting handed all this like the heart and the guts and stuff. I thought that was really well done as well.
Yeah. Call the MVP?
I'm going to say Verhoeven for me. I think like at the time it wasn't critically received as well as it has, but I think it's probably the best of his films that have been like reanalyzed throughout the years, and then he's been given, like you were saying about Clancy Brown, but given his flowers again in terms of you actually knew what he was on about. You know what I mean? It was just more subtle than maybe people had thought at the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. Verhoeven for me, obviously a massive shout out to Michael Ironside, but again, Verhoeven to do what he did with like in general with scripts mainly, is great, and it's.
Stop going on about Michael Ironside. You're never going to meet him.
I am. He's coming to Aberdeen. I'm going to meet him.
That was the joke. Yeah, cool.
Todd?
Yeah, Verhoeven for me as well. I think it was so well done. You couldn't have given it to anybody else, I don't think, and have a similar sort of effect. So yeah.
All right. Ratings, Collie?
It's a 5 for me.
Yeah, 5 for me as well. And Todd?
And a 5 for me as well.
Unanimous. Woo!
Yes.
Love it.
Again.
All right, now the final film from Mr. Paul Verhoeven. Collie, what are we talking about?
We're talking about 2000's Hollow Man. Sebastian Kane, a scientist, volunteers to be the first human test subject for a serum that renders the recipient invisible. When his fellow scientists are unable to restore him back to normal, he becomes increasingly unstable and eventually goes on a killing spree.
Dun, dun, dun. First thoughts, Collie?
I enjoy this. It's a bit more not schlocky or anything like that, but I think it's got a lot less messaging in it. I think it's a bit more of a Hollywood film. It's a bit more of a early 2000s, late 90s kind of film. That like this is probably, out of all of his films, I think this is the least Paul Verhoeven film, but I don't want to take that away from it. I did enjoy it. I think like the protagonist then becoming the antagonist is a great switch up. I think Bacon's great. I think the supporting cast is great. Like young Josh Brolin, Elizabeth Shue, like all that kind of supporting scientists around him were really good. But I think Kevin Bacon's excellent in this. I really, really do enjoy his performance.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree what you're saying about it being the least Paul Verhoeven film. we kind of spoke about how his third act kind of fall apart. It did for me a bit as well. There was a lot of silly decisions and stuff that I didn't quite land for me. But yeah, I agree. I think that certainly the main three, Bacon, Chew, and Brolin, I really enjoyed, and their relationship as well, and how it kind of fell apart. I did quite like. I enjoyed more of them understanding the serum and the effect it has and stuff. So like basically the first kind of 1 to 2/3, then I did the final third. But yeah, I mean it had good things, it had bad things, and Kevin Bacon being like a kind of smarmy prick. I mean, it's kind of gold, isn't it? Really for him to to do that. Todd.
Yeah, I rented this from Blockbuster back in the day, and I've just enjoyed it since. Like, it's not gonna ever reach the heights of like a favorite film. I think it is where it is now, but I still think it's I think schlocky is the word. I do think it rides that sort of like 2000s horror level. But the effects in it are really cool. Again, they take some swings with some stuff. I love some of the camera work as well. Worked really well.
All right. Well, I mean, guys, obviously, Collie, you were talking about Kevin Bacon being great. Give us your thoughts on him.
I think his performance from transitioning from when he's visible to invisible is really good. I think so there was a bit of trivia. I didn't take it down, but like word for word. But he didn't take this role, but he envisaged this role to be quite easy because he was like, well, surely if I'm invisible, I don't need to be on set. But then he's subsequently come out and said that it was probably one of the most physically demanding roles that he's ever done. So I think like his vision of the roles changed a little bit, but I think his performance is really, really good. Super sinister, and later on when he is invisible and he's talking around them and creeping them out, like even just his voice is a great vocal performance. And one trick that Verhoeven did was he put speakers around the set and he wouldn't tell people what one he was going to play the voice out of or whatever, so the reactions to him being over there or wherever is natural because they didn't have a clue where the voice was going to be coming from. So I thought that was a really good touch. But yeah, the kind of evil, like the cocky transition to then evil, just came quite naturally to Kevin Bacon. And I think his performance, like I really like Kevin Bacon. I've liked it, like a lot of his performances, but there's always like an underlying, not snidiness to him, but I think like his ability to be a villain is always just seems to be like there under the surface. Even what's the film with Mystic River? And have either of you seen Mystic River? It's with Sean Penn, and it's so Kevin Bacon's like, I won't spoil it, but basically like there's a detective, and I think Tim Robbins is in it as well. And it's the one you'll have seen the scene of Sean Penn when he's like, "Is that my daughter in there?" And he's getting held back by all the detectives and stuff like that. So Kevin Bacon's in that, and there's a question as to how stuff happens, or is he good or is he bad? And I think this is another example of that performance. But I'd say it's even more difficult because he's not being shown. It's all in his physicality when he's got like this latex mask around him and stuff like that as well. So I think for me, he elevates this film and he carries this film to like, there's a couple of casting what ifs that I can come to in a minute or whatever, but I think for what Verhoeven wanted, I think Kevin Bacon delivered above and beyond that.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of reminded me a bit as well of another film where he's called Sebastian, X-Men First Class, where he's like kind of that sort of like sinister-y kind of dude. But yeah,
he's charming as well. He's like,
yes,
charming
exactly,
in First Class, yeah.
Exactly. And I did actually like as well that obviously things kind of ramped up when he became invisible. They obviously hint at that they said that the serum makes him more aggressive when talking about Isabel the gorilla, and that's obviously what's happened to him. It's kind of just enhanced the aggressiveness and stuff as well. But he is just proper sinister when he gets when he becomes invisible, and it's a really unnerving performance from him. Todd, what are your thoughts on Mr. Bacon?
Yeah, like I say, I think physicality number one is the big one, especially towards the end when he's got that mask on. That's insanely creepy. But yeah, it's weird that when you first, well, I assume when I first watched it, I didn't expect him to be the villain, even though he's such a prick. Like, and he plays it so well.
Yeah.
But and then I think you look at it and you go, well, ambitious, those like ambitious geniuses that are shown in films often are arrogant and smarmy. So okay, we'll just give him the benefit of the doubt that he's doing something brilliant. He's just a bit of a tit about it. But it works really well when he transitions into the bad guy. And he is awful as well. Great performance as an awful human being.
Obviously, there's again another a list of cast that sort of really support, but Elizabeth Shue and Josh Brolin are the two sort of like main of the supporting cast, I suppose. Again, I said call it younger Josh Brolin. What were your thoughts on them?
Love Elizabeth Shue. Had a crush on her since Karate Kid. She's one of my top ones ever, I would say.
All right, calm down. You've been...
I'm not degrading her. I'm just saying she's a beautiful woman. But yeah, I think she was really good. The kind of the first video call between her and Kevin Bacon was really interesting, and like how Josh Brolin's in the bed and she's turning the camera away and she's like, "That's nothing to do with you." So that's obviously like you were saying about like Starship Troopers, just good world building in terms of like, oh, they've obviously had a previous relationship, and that comes full circle later on with his jealousy and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, Josh Brolin I think is really good. He kind of had that. I don't know. He's a very similar to Kevin Bacon, but he's a very charming guy, and he's just being part of an ensemble this early in his career. To then, I know he was obviously in like Goonies and stuff like long time before, but this is like relatively still young Josh Brolin. This is kind of, obviously pre like No Country for Old Men, which is then that was a latter part of his career or whatever. But no, I think he's great. I think Kim Dickens as well as the redheaded doctor was really good. Like she was hysterical at points, but I think it was like convincing. It wasn't. I didn't find it over the top. I didn't find it grating or anything. And just for a bit of, did you recognize who the neighbor was? Like what else she's been in?
Yeah.
Todd,
you love Todd, yeah.
I thought that's who it was. I did, yeah.
Because like years ago when I watched it or whatever, I wouldn't have maybe clicked that. But when I started rewatching it for this, I was like, I recognize her, and I was like trying my best. Don't look it up. And I was like, that's her from Ali G, is it? And then it is. It's just bizarre. Like she was in this in 2000 Ali G's in like 2002 or whatever. So obviously she just started getting like bigger parts or whatever. But I thought that was just an interesting. Like Leo pointing, like, "Oh my god, that's somebody I recognize," kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the almost love triangle kind of thing that they had, Shue, Brolin, and Bacon, and it made for like an understandably not understand. I don't understand why he did the stuff he did, but like why you could tell why he was maybe jealous, and obviously then that was boosted by the aggressive nature of the serum and things like that as well. So I understood kind of the reasoning behind stuff. But yeah, I thought they were really good as well. And again, even Greg Grunberg, he was in Heroes, wasn't he? Was that right? Like, yeah. Him as like kind of the more almost comedic relief, I suppose. I thought he was quite funny.
He's a childhood friend of J.J. Abrams, so he's had him in loads of stuff. He had him in Star Wars and that as well.
Got you, right. Okay, wow. Todd, thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I think Elizabeth Shue was fantastic. I really enjoyed her sort of being the opposite to Kevin Bacon as such. Josh Brolin has this sort of like stoicism about him, even when he's younger, that he's like this. He's a man of principle, and he often plays that really well. I love the two up in the booth as well. I thought their two's relationship with each other and the rest of the cast was really good. Yeah, like I say, it was just a really good ensemble cast that work well together, and there was enough that can be picked off and killed off in a way that didn't feel like it was just unceremonious or it's just a body. They were characters, they were people, that worked really well.
Agree. Before kind of moving on to like other bits and pieces, we'll kind of talk about the effects. Obviously, the sort of like CGI of being invisible, but coming back invisible. What do you think of the effects that were used, Collie?
I think they were really good, to be honest. Like the whole intravenous stuff, and then the building up of like the gorilla and stuff like that. Like you can obviously see that it was CGI coming in and out of the cage and stuff. But I thought it was excellent. I thought actually the first shot of the rat being eaten, I thought for the most part was really, really good as well. I mean, it's 26 years old, 25, 26 years old or whatever. So this is around the time of like, a year or two before like Lord of the Rings is coming out and all that. So they are, and Spider-Man's obviously a couple of years later and that. So that's where we're kind of getting to with the CGI, and you can definitely see that it's in a good place here and it's going to become a lot better in a short space of time, because it's one of those ones where the CGI, I think, like it grew exponentially. Like once they'd started doing it, it just like within a few years was miles and miles and miles better. So to compare it, probably like a 2000s film to a 2001 to 2002 is like, it's a massive jump. But I think they were all really, really good. Obviously, like they go to more practical stuff when they've got like the latex masks, but they still have to like CGI away his face and that underneath that. So yeah, I thought it was very impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, same. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the scenes of them, as you see the see them going through their blood and bringing their hearts up and stuff like that as well. I really, I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic. Todd?
Yeah, the only other one I would mention, because I agree with everything you've said, is the neighbour's apartment when the camera moves behind the mirror and you don't see the camera at all, and like the mirror's moving, and I just think it was really well thought out, from like the POV shots into that sort of movement behind. I thought that was really well done. I know it's more cinematography than effects, but they've obviously again got to CG the cameras out and stuff like that. I think it was really well put together.
Of course. Anything else you want to talk about, Collier? We're going to.
I'm fine for categories, yeah.
Cool.
Well, no, actually, sorry. One thing. Guy Pearce and Edward Norton were considered for the role, but Kevin Bacon was chosen for his ability to be both charming and diabolical. So it would have been interesting. Like Guy Pearce had done LA Confidential,
a
couple of years before this, but then this is the same year as Memento. So would he have done this and then not done Memento, and that would be a completely different career path for him. And then Ed Norton's coming off the back of like Fight Club and American History X and stuff, so it would have been arguably more star power. And obviously Kevin Bacon was a big star, but I think like you would have been hitting Edward Norton in a really hot point of his career. So both would have been interesting, but I think I'm happy with Bacon's casting. I think he is really, really good.
Yeah, fair enough. Favorite quote, Colin?
Oh shit! I literally just had it there. It was when he was talking on the thing, the FaceTime, for lack of a better term, to Linda, and it was Da Vinci never slept, said it was a waste of time. I thought that was quite funny, and that was really early in the film, and it kind of shows that he's comparing himself to Da Vinci, and then I don't want to step on your toes, but there's a god complex about him.
Absolutely. My favorite quote was Carter when he was looking at his magazine and he said, "I'd suck the tits right off you."
Yeah, see, I had that one noted down. I was just like, nah, I don't really want to use that one, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad it's been brought to light.
Thanks. Todd?
Mine was, "It's amazing what you can do when you don't have to look yourself in the mirror anymore." The delivery of that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yep. Favorite scene, Collie?
The one of Sebastian actually going invisible, and then them having to like do the intravenous, like just the building up of all the CGI aspect of that, I thought was excellent.
Mine was actually one that you said maybe wasn't as great, but the gorilla become invisible again. I really enjoyed that part. Like I think it was the first sort of time that we saw.
So it was that bit was good. It was when the gorilla was walking back into the cage.
Oh god, yeah, sorry.
The camera,
okay.
I didn't think that looked like great, but the actual invisible scene was excellent.
Yeah, I thought it was really well done. I thought it was again just seeing everything go through the veins and the heart build up, and then the bones come back, and then the skin obviously starts to come. I thought it was really, really well done.
Because the one I mentioned, I don't even know if it was CGI or if it was like one of those animatronic ones that kind of looked like the Dinosaurs TV series, like the eyes were moving about a bit,
or like George the Jungle or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Todd, have you seen?
Mine was Kevin Bacon transforming into invisible and back again, and that struggle. But I also love the blood scene. Her chucking the blood, I thought was really well done.
And finally, MVP, Collie.
Elizabeth Shue for me. Anything that she's in, she's obviously going to be my MVP.
Fair enough.
But like Kevin Bacon would be very close second.
Sure. For me, it wasn't so much a person as a department, but the visual effects department. I just thought it was very well deserved. When you think about the fact that it was 2,000 years old, 2,000 years old. It's not Jesus. The fact that it was 2,000 is pretty phenomenal stuff. And the fact that they even rendered Kevin Bacon's penis unskinned, I thought that was very well done. Todd, MVPs.
Yeah, mine's the visual effects team as well. I went for that. Like you say, for the time, it's fascinating how they managed to do it. It would be something that I would love to see as like a documentary.
With Oreos.
With Oreos, yes.
All right, scoring, Collie.
3.5 for me.
It's 3 for me, which is fair. And Todd.
4 for me.
Fair enough. Well, guys, that's our Verhoeven episode all done. How about we rank his films 1 to 6, or 6 to 1, actually. We'll do it again from worst to best. Collie, it's your episode. Start us off.
So Hollow Man in 6th, and then Showgirls, Basic Instinct, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, and RoboCop.
Good stuff. Yeah, mine's Hollow Man 6th, Basic Instinct 5th, Showgirls 4th, Total Recall 3rd, RoboCop 2nd, Starship Troopers 1st. Todd?
Sharon Stone will be raging with you.
Oh, sure she will. Todd?
Mine is Showgirls, Hollow Man, Basic Instinct, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, RoboCop.
Fantastic stuff. Well, guys, that is Paul Verhoeven done. Normally, at this point, we would say it's someone else's choice for the next one. But what's happening next? Collie, do you want to tell us what's happening next?
It's going to be our big, the origin of the podcast is going to be the Oscars. So do you want to run through the categories, or would you like me to?
Go for it, Collie.
Let me try and remember then. Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress. VFX and cinematography we combine into one, and animated feature. And then the Razzies Worst Picture also as well, I guess.
Baby.
We're doing it again.
Keep an eye out on the socials, because Massey normally does a really good spreadsheet to check off what films need to be covered for what categories.
Yeah, so the nominations, as we spoke about before the podcast started, is on the 22nd, Thursday 22nd. So I will look to get that sorted for maybe the 22nd. Might leave it to Friday, Saturday, because obviously we've got this episode will be coming out then as well. So yes, look out for that, and then it'll be March, just before the ceremony, which is the 15th of March comes out. We'll be getting it out just before that. So
the week beginning the 9th, we'll probably release in a couple of parts the episode.
Yeah, I will try not to make it 4 hours like we have done in previous years. But guys, thank you so much for that. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. Keep it out on our Twitter at LCD_pod, where we'll pop all the stuff out. And we will see you in March for the Oscars episode. Thank you so much, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone.